save it for when we get further.
You're at what your MCU watch?
Civil War. Good
Civil
job
War.
recording there, right as I bring up what I might bring up on the podcast, and then you asked me to repeat it, and now we do bring it onto the podcast. That's a smart editing move there, John.
Yeah, well, now we don't have to trim off the beginning to make it sound like we did it by accident, like the rest of this podcast, which we have done zero planning for, of course.
You always go into it free balling it. No,
Cold
I'm
turkey.
Exactly. I'm at Civil War in my MCU first watch. I'm making okay progress. Civil War, overrated.
So now you're allowed to use the Chris Evans ripping the stump meme that you shove down people's throats every time. Is it Benintendi hits a slammer? Whenever
JD does something well, that's one of my JD go-tos. That was either in Ultron or the first Avengers, I think, or maybe it was. I don't know. I had seen that.
That was in Ultron. That was in Ultron. That was in the midst of they were at Jeremy Renner and by the way, Linda Cardellini, possibly besides Idris Elba, most wasted actress or actor or actress on any role in a movie ever. Just such like a like why even get that big of a name if you're just gonna throw her off to the side as
chopped liver.
Yes, yeah. Oh, but all the way intertwined. By the way, intertwined in that thing at the house is the all-time love situation between Bruce Banner and Black Widow.
Yes, that is true.
One of the all-time plot points in any movie.
Yeah, some chemistry went on there. Now, Civil War was pretty good. It was way overrated. People have been going nuts about that movie.
I don't think anyone thinks that is one of the best ones, though. So I don't know who you're speaking to about these.
I don't know.
No, Winter Soldier, people think is one of the best ones.
Winter Soldier was very good. Yes.
Cool. So that was Fitzy's MCU update.
Good start. Yeah.
that 3 years in the making. I remember 3 years ago you were like, "Oh, I heard if you watch all of them leading up to Black Panther or something, if you start when Black Panther comes out, leading up to Infinity War, if you watch one a week, you'll see all of them." You're like, "I think I'm going to do it."
I did.
Mr. Crab, SpongeBob title card. 3 years later.
So many years later that the old narrator got bored and they had to hire a new one.
Well, I'm glad you're getting going in the MCU finally. You're right on time. Actually, it's just getting started. The best is ahead of us. Vince, do you know what yesterday was, by any chance?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Yeah. Hi, pal. Work was great.
Ma'am, I'm podcasting with my friends.
I'm podcasting. I'm sorry. Hi. God, Cal, get out of my room. God.
No, Mom, I can't pause it. It's an online game.
No, I'm almost done. One more podcast. No, Mom, no. Yes, it's Podcast AF.
Okay, then when's the Chicken Little episode happening?
She wants to know when the Chicken Little.
Oh, the Chicken Little. I forgot about the Chicken Little episode.
When is the Chicken?
Should we do a Goofy movie too before we do Chicken Little?
Extremely goofy movie. That one's not nearly as good as Goofy. They go to the X Games. There's some big brand synergy there.
Goofy and Jackson Mahomes at the Olympic Games. The new hit coming to PlayStation 5 launch title.
Max Goof is a TikTok star now.
Jackson Mahomes and Terrio at the X Games.
Say ooh.
Well. Back to the show. Do you know what yesterday was?
Yesterday,
you're probably aware of it. It ended with a Y. The sun came up and it went down.
Yes. Well,
it was the one day a year that you and I have to watch NASCAR because the NASCAR race decides our fantasy football draft. Dude, who are your sleepers this year? My sleepers? Patrick Mahomes.
Dude, I gotta tell you, Christian McCaffrey, this guy, he's gonna be a great player.
Dude, if he falls to you at 10,
you gotta look at the ADP of this player. You gotta find the values, and that's how you win.
I've had a few of the mock drafts already. I do one mock draft a year. And in my one mock draft I did, there was the one person that's like, oh, let's take Sammy Watkins third overall. And just fucks up the whole thing. It's like, oh, God, whatever.
Lizard King.
So we had the NASCAR race to decide our fantasy draft. 2 side notes on that. One, kid who won the league last year got the first overall pick. There might be a rule instituted next year. Kid whose driver crashed 2 years in a row did not crash this year. I think he ended up with a 3rd or 4th overall pick or something. So good for him. John and Fitz, back-to-back, 10 and 11, which I fucking hate because every time you and I have a pick back-to-back, I feel
I'm
like
going to cuck you on the turn.
You just bone me on the turn. And I'm just like,
totally going to cuck you on the turn.
We're clearly reading like all the same shit about like the sleepers and stuff. And then as it comes around, you're just like, oh, I'm going to pick Lamar Jackson in the 7th round. Whereas it's like, okay, Lamar's also on my radar. I was just going to try to get him in the 11th round instead.
Very, very bold of you to put Lamar Jackson on your fantasy radar. It's very brave of you.
I'm gonna have 800 words in the Globe on that. Should I hit up the opinion editor? I think this guy Lamar is going to have a big year.
The entire time it's just going to be me and you saying to each other, "Oh fuck, good pick. Good pick, damn it."
So I also had to do the annual thing where I tell everyone that they have to change their team name because everybody in our fantasy league has the same team name, which is simply Jeff. Which is very difficult when making the schedule because it does not say the owner of the team's name. It just simply says Jeff for all of them. So I can't. It's just Jeff everywhere. I can't tell. It's like Negan. It's like we're all Jeff.
I appreciate that you go through the trouble of handpicking the schedule. Especially,
I run it through a generator. I just have to manually put it in.
Well, that's more than what most managers would do. They would just let the app do it itself. Being whatever. That's who you play.
Well, we're trying to have fairness, and I preach equity in our league. So people that draft near each other have to play each other more. That's how this thing works. I do have a new team name. I decided to go with John Football this year. Very simple. It's a play on John Hockey, like John Tavares.
Is your picture going to be you sleeping with a football blanket and?
I probably could. I used to
Phantom Menace-esque ship behind you.
When I was in middle school, I actually used to sleep with the football the night before the games.
So you wouldn't fumble it. Yeah.
The Eagle Claw. Go right around the tip. What is your team name though?
Yeah, I will be doing a new team this year. I thought of it on the drive-in. I thought of this name probably 2 hours ago at this point when I was driving back from work, listening to the album, the crux of the episode, if you will. Pretty simple. I'm sending you the team picture now. I'll find a way to crop it. Imploding the Ballage.
I don't even know. I do not even know what team Kalen Ballage is on.
I don't either. I'm not going to draft him either, but it's funny. Did you get the picture?
Oh my goodness!
It's the cover of Imploding the Mirage.
For our non-Patreon subscribers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I should have put that behind the paywall. That's my bad.
Is he on the Dolphins or is he not on the Dolphins?
I think he still is. He's still young enough. He might be. I'm not sure.
Like ninth on the depth chart though.
For those wondering, the female, the woman, in the clouds there.
Hey, careful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know why I use the word female. I don't like female. Just rolls off the tongue not as well. That cloud, that second cloud next to Kalen Ballage will be the picture of me being cucked by Chewbacca. We have a new team this year too. We have Dolphin Noises joining the league.
We let a token female into the league this year, just so that we can say we have a girl in our fantasy league. It wasn't because she's our friend.
Yeah. We're about
last week was also the time of the year where you find out for the second time that certain players are now on different teams. So like the Ballage example. Last week, I rediscovered that both Jordan Howard and Matt Breida are on the Dolphins.
Yeah, I remembered Howard. I definitely forgot about Breida when I had my Quincy draft last week. It was the only time we could do it all together. I was like, oh, wow, that's weird. I forgot that Matt Breida is not in San Fran anymore.
So we also had Christmas come early this year, yet again. Every year the Killers release an album. It's like you get 2 Christmases in 1 year.
It's not 1 Christmas, 2 Christmases.
I know why I said that in a Boston accent. Dude, every year you get a Marky Mark album. That's like 2 Christmases 1 year.
You get a Wahlburger. It's like Christmas. So you could have like 365 Christmases, dude.
But so question for you. What the fuck does imploding the Mirage mean? I have got no idea. No idea.
What is the Mirage, and how does one implode a Mirage if it's not there?
I was thinking about it a little bit. I was like, all right, is it like because when you implode something, I don't know what the act is of imploding, because you could say like maybe a relationship implodes.
Yeah, from the inside.
Yeah, so is that like when you demolish a stadium? You know, like when old Foxborough Stadium got demolished and it all falls in.
That like the Kingdome in Seattle, that imploded. Like that was an internal explode that imploded.
Can jet fuel implode mirages?
Steel mirages.
Well,
that's the end of that bit.
Yeah. Well, that one ran its course. We imploded that mirage real quick, but send tweet. So upon my several listens to this album, the first one came in bed the night it came out. I find the bed listens leave something to be desired, so I may leave those behind in the future.
So one might call that the desired effect.
Ooh, flowers reference. We send tweet. When I laying in bed with headphones with these albums, it doesn't hit the right way. So the next day, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go walk with it. So I start walking down the street, and I get FaceTime bombed by Fitz while I'm in the middle of listening to this album, which I did not appreciate. And you were very upset about a tweet of mine, I believe.
Yeah. What the hell was that?
What the hell was what?
Your bad tweet saying that you liked it more than Hot Fuss.
So, would you like me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, elaborate the hell out of it, dude.
So, since you and I had that conversation, that was Friday, so I've had a 72-hour...
A one-sided conversation, mind you. I put you in the headlock that entire time.
Yep, you FaceTime bombed me, like as I said. So, I've had 72 hours to sit on this take. And the more I have thought about it...
The more you realize it's bad?
The more I have come to the conclusion that I'm really, really right about this.
Oh, God.
You have got...
Kick rocks.
So one album has 3 songs that the entire other album is better than.
Oh,
no! I don't if we're gonna. I mean, the age of analytics, my friend. What do you think? Do you think Billy Bean is a Hot Fuss or a Imploding the Mirage guy?
John, batting average doesn't matter anymore, Anderson.
What's the plus minus on a Hot Fuss?
You got to look at the BABIP of Imploding the Mirage. It's due for positive regression. I'm telling you, it's gonna not enough BABIP luck.
I don't know, the Corsi of caution, though, because it comes out and then a month later it just rips into the top 40 out of nowhere.
You look at Imploding the Mirage's Baseball Savant page, and you look at the underlying metrics like the X-weighted OBP and the exit velo barrel rate on My Own Soul's Warning. Are you kidding me?
Let's put it this way. Hot Fuss likes to run into 8-man boxes a lot, but Imploding the Mirage runs into it, except Kyle Shanahan is the offensive coordinator. So they have they scheme it up well. They scheme.
Fire and Bone has incredible spin rate on their breaking stuff. It's led to a huge jump in the K percentage.
So I think this. Time will tell.
I think you're wrong.
And the truth prevails over time. But as of now, as of today, August 24th, 2020, Hot Fuss is the Killer's 3rd best album, and it makes me proud to say that.
I'm giving you a swirly next time I see you.
Are you?
I don't think any jury would prosecute me on that or find me guilty. Whatever.
Prosecute. I will say it's a very bubblegum album though. Except every song, like okay, does his wife get a writing credit at some point? Every single song's about her. Every single one. Even though they just hold, like the last album also was completely about her.
Yeah.
But they did the whole marketing media tour with it where they like wouldn't shut up about that it was about her. And then this one, it's like they aren't really saying it, but like
I love my wife. I love my wife. Ah.
Like, is that like why was Imploding the Marriage? Are they getting divorced?
Well, he is throwing caution.
Yeah, let's rip through this. Let's do like I said, Walking Dead, 10 in, 10 out, nothing planned. So let's see how this goes. So we'll start at track 1. This was the 8th single, I believe, on this album. That bit only really works for 1975.
Before we go, but yeah, right, yeah, the 1970. This is a big 1975 move, but the Killers do it too. Before we start, they release like half the album as singles to start it off. Some of them aren't. Yeah,
some of them aren't like that traditional single thing. It's more of like, which I believe that's what the 1975 was as well. It's where it's like they just like put it on Spotify, but it's not necessarily like a single release. Like I don't know if it was Fire and Bone like technically. I guess that was, but like.
Or maybe it was like the B-side or whatever it might, but it's still on the album.
I definitely don't like. I do prefer, like, that was why it was cool when the Taylor Swift album came out. Which, by the way, we're not going to do what we do when Taylor Swift releases albums and just run out the clock in the episode and not actually review it, but title it for search engine optimization reasons. We're actually going to do this one. But I don't like listening to it the first time. Like, it is cool to see how they fit into the narrative of the front to back there.
Yeah.
But I hate being like, oh, here's a song I already heard, but I can't just skip it because I want to see how it goes in place. Then I'm like, oh, but now I get one new song, but I know the next song's coming up next. And then it's like, oh, now I have 4 in a row that I haven't heard. Like, that's good. I wish I could just do the whole album that way.
And we'll get into that album narrative thing, I'm sure, as the review goes on, because I have some things to say about it, what I thought of songs and how they fit into the album. But it is kind of annoying, like you just mentioned, that the Killers or the 1975, they released so much beforehand, and it's nice when you get it, but when the actual album drops, you're only getting like 5-6 new songs. I mean, the 1975, the latest album had 45 songs on it, so yeah, you had a fair amount of new stuff, but also half of that was just musical interludes. So double-edged sword there. But all in all, before we get started, general thoughts on the album. I'm not as hot on it as you are, but I do like it. So let's dive into, honestly, the best song in the album. So
I was going to say that. I mean, towards the back, I was probably going to say, like, oh, best worst song, whatever. I think maybe right now it's not like my number one right now because it's also been out for 2 months, and I've done everything possible that one could do as an activity while listening to it. So it's really sunk in, and the newness of it is not there. But I do think in a couple months, like maybe when I stop listening to it 900 times a day, that it will sort of come full circle that My Own Soul's Warning, the opener, is clearly the best song on it, and it's probably not even close.
You doing a whole bunch of activities, like you're just running to it, drinking some beers to it. Great drinking song.
Yeah.
You imploded a 12-pack of Mirages to the song.
Is there a beer called Mirages? There should be.
Well, maybe we can make our own, or find it, and that'll be the official.
Cut this. We're gonna get or else the trademark beef, the trademark squatters. That dude who has all of the possible mascot names for the Washington football team is going to squat on our Killers beer idea.
The Washington Mirages. We should call that drinking, imploding some Mirages. Like I know I tweeted it the other day, but for those who didn't see it and are listening right now, which I don't know,
Patreon subscribers.
I don't know how much of that the Venn diagram that is, our Twitter followers and people who listen. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to call drinking beer. We're going to come over Friday night, float some Mirages together.
So I will say that this is, so the Killers have a crowded sort of pantheon of front album openers. Like a lot of them are really, really good because all of them are like, I think they learned their lesson. So the last album, they didn't have that. They didn't have like the come out of the gates screaming album opener like they do on every other album. Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, Sam's Town. Losing Touch, I guess, isn't come screeching out the open. It's a good song.
I love that song.
I like that song too. Yeah. I think Flesh and Bone. And then if you count Sawdust, I think Tranquilize is kind of like that too. But I don't think, aside from, depending on I don't think you agree with me, but like Sam's Town is my favorite Killers song. It's also the first song on the album Sam's Town, so I think that's the best song on that album. A lot of people would say Jenny's the best song in Hot Fuzz, but this may be, as far as the consensus goes, this may be the first track to also like clearly the best song on the album as well.
No, this is hands down. I mean, there's some good songs after it, but this is hands down the best track on the album. This is quintessential Killers. This is hints of Battleborn you get in there, hints of Sam's Town with that, like, and that just general song that needs to be blasted on a concert speaker at a big arena or festival. This is quintessential Brandon, Ronnie killing it. This is what you buy the ticket to the Killers to hear a song like this. This is why you listen to this band. This is them at their best. Their element. This is an elite Killer song. This is, I may not say 10 right off the bat, I'd say 15. I'd be comfortable in calling this at least a top 15 Killer song.
I
overall.
do think so. I believe I said at the time via text to you that this is the best song in their last 2 albums.
Yeah, the only one I would probably bring forward to contend with that is probably no pun intended to contend with it. Tyson v. Douglas, I would say.
Well, the only ones I'd have step into the arena to drop the gloves with it are Tyson v. Douglas.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Ding ding. Yes, that's also
my joke.
That's also probably my congrats. You explained my joke to me.
Yeah.
The next song is Blowback. Blowback might be in the running for worst song on the album. I don't want to say, but I have to say that it's vocabulary. The word worst technically means at the bottom, but they're all good. I'd say I'll note the other. I think there's 3 total that I would put in that, but I do like Blowback. It's kind of a country-y song.
Yeah,
like it's got the twang. It's got the twang on it.
Took the words right out of my mouth. It's not like a Luke Bryan kind of country, but it is kind of that twangy. Yeah, right. No, and this is way better than like The Clock Was Ticking for Brandon Flowers' country-inspired music.
I love that song.
That song stinks.
Hey, watch yourself.
No, this is. I do like the twang, the country elements. I noticed that too. It's not like it's subtle or anything like that. People who pay attention to how actually music is made, and if they're listening to this right now, are probably facepalming themselves just hearing 2 schmucks talk about it. I think the country part of it's pretty good, man. It kind of reminds me of like some like old country rock stuff. I disagree with you calling this up, but I also have 3 songs that I would probably put towards the bottom of the list. Myself, this is not one of them. I would probably put this middle of the pack, but I do like it. It's a solid track too, and it leads you up to the next 2 songs that are fantastic as well. I like this.
And it sets the precedent. A lot of the songs on this album like start slower, and then like just some funky ass bass kicks in, and then it just like really gets going. And you're like,
great bass album.
Killers, I see it. I see you. You guys
great bass album.
You guys still putting out good shit. Best bass album. Also, take a mind. Best bass album of theirs.
I'd have to think about that. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it is a very good bass album.
I had a bass friend confirm that to me, who knows more about bass than I do.
Even though this Blowback song isn't the bass highlight, it's a great song.
By the way, I think Brandon came out as having a micro penis in this song because he says everything's about his wife, right? Says something about sucking on a Tic Tac in here.
I didn't even catch that.
And it also has a cool ending too. I think a lot of these songs have sort of like if the song was a graph with an x-axis and a y-axis, one being time, one being gnarliness of album or of song, it would go up.
Imploding the stonks.
So after that, we get.
I'm gonna have Kalen Ballage, and then the second face is gonna be the stonks guy.
And then we get Dying Breed, which this song, there was a clip of it put on Instagram like a year ago, and Reddit has flipped out about it ever since, and they finally released it. And it follows that same thing, like I said, like it starts slower, and it has a weird strong structure. There are 2 verses before there's even a chorus, I think, and then it just ends with 2 choruses. And it is like, this is another one of those songs that like, when they eventually someday play this live, it is going to just blow your mind. Like this, My Own Soul's Warning.
That's perfect for a kind of. This song, again, it probably kicks in like a minute and a half in or so.
Yeah.
But it's one of those like when it finally does hit, you're like, fuck yes.
I could see this being like one of the middle encore songs at one of their shows. Like they always end with in the encore, it always ends with When You Were Young, unless they change this formula
if they play 18 songs of the concert before the encore, which would be 3 songs, this would be like the 11th song played, I feel.
So if it was on the tour for the album, they would open with My Own Soul's Warning, obviously. If they were doing the music festival circuit, they may not, because they switch it up a lot, and they also like to just open with Mr. Brightside at music festivals, which is a move and a half. But a lot of times, like I've noticed in the encore, that second spot is one of the new songs. And when they weren't touring an album, it was This Is Your Life. But like it was The Calling, for example, on the Wonderful Wonderful tour. And I think Dying Breed like fits it kind of perfectly, like that spot, because of how slow it starts as well. and then it just builds up, and it like gets the adrenaline going
crescendos
again.
Up, yeah.
And then they just they come back and they punch you in the gut with when you were young, and then they uppercut you with Mr. Brightside. That's how I envision this going. Then we get the lead single, Caution. I feel like a dick for how I approached this song.
I think on this very program, I definitely said it at least off the air, like via text or in conversation, whatever. But I think I said it on the airs of this very program, Mr. Anderson, that I was not crazy about this song. This kind of had a "It's Not Living If It's Not With You" type of effect with me. When I first heard "It's Not Living If It's Not With You," like 14 months before that album actually dropped, because that's what the 1975s does. They wait an entire election cycle before they drop the album. That's when they drop their singles. They waited an obnoxious amount of time. But the point is, when I first heard this a couple months ago, I was like, okay, like it's fine. I wasn't crazy about it. In the context of the album, it has grown exponentially in my head. This is a 4-for-4 start for them.
And then also I have sort of a complex where I try to reinvent the wheel, and I perceive other people's not reinventing the wheel as like not hitting some sort of bar. So when I see a song called like Caution, and it's really just built around the phrase, like it's obviously pulled from the phrase like set caution to the wind or whatever, except they only get through like a word of that. They only get through the phrase halfway. I always like tend to be like, it's just kind of a normal phrase. Like it's not instead of just, I think there is an actual psychological word for this where you're just like trying to look for the big thing instead of just realizing that the simple thing is fine. Like is the case here. And Lindsey Buckingham has a fucking nasty solo at the end of this song.
And I didn't know that until very, very recently, that Lindsey Buckingham was playing the solo at the end of this. And I feel like an idiot for not picking up on that, because once you know it's Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac fame, mind you, right. He was in Fleetwood Mac, mind you.
Who? He was in what?
The very same Tess. No, once you know that's Lindsey Buckingham, you're like, well, obviously it is. That's the most Fleetwood Mac ass solo of all time. You kidding me? Like that. That sounds like it was. That sounds like it was the first take of the ending of Secondhand News, and then they're like, "Nah, let's redo it." They recorded it and they kept that second one. And then Lindsey was like, "Hey, I have this sample of Secondhand News here. I'm going to put it in the end of Caution. Maybe change it up a little bit to keep up with the times." But yeah, that sounds like textbook Fleetwood Mac at the very end of it.
They'll rip that when we have shows again. They'll rip My Own Soul's Warning straight into Caution because it's the single, like they did with The Man, and then they'll play Somebody Told Me.
Yeah, exactly. Also, all time Zeus voice from Brandon, the king of the Zeus voice. But this is a great Zeus voice showing from our King Brandon.
Oh yeah, and there is some phenomenal, tease this for later in the album, some phenomenal Brandonisms on this album that I love. Next we've got Lightning Fields. So note about this: features a woman named K.D. Lang, who I'd never heard of before. Nope. Turns out she's very popular in Canada and not in America, which is why I hadn't heard of her. She is one of the genres on her Wikipedia page is called cowpunk.
I did not know that. Cowpunk?
Yeah, apparently it's just country punk, but they call it cowpunk, and I think that's hilarious.
That's so cool. I'm gonna start calling country just cow now.
Doesn't this remind you? So Lightning Fields is one of the three that I'm like, oh, that might be one of the worst, but it's also really good. So
not to like totally steal your thunder here, and not to spoil what I'm going to say going forward.
Not to steal my lightning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In your Lightning Field. This is one of 3 songs that I'm not as high on the album. That probably takes it down a couple, pegs for me. It's the first of 3 songs in a row. The next 3 songs I'm not crazy about.
Really?
It loses momentum a little bit here.
So I'd say
starting here, it loses a bit of momentum. It picks up at the end, but.
So I was out to brunch the other day, and a song came on, and it was a Springsteen song. But I stopped, and I was like, I couldn't tell what it was, because I thought it was Lightning Fields, because Lightning Fields is a Springsteen song. And
then you listen a little bit closer, and you're like, oh wait, no, that's Bob Seger.
It's just like, it's the Springsteen equation, like some aerial event, and then you just combine it with a geographic location, and then say the word love a lot, and then have a woman sing at the end of it.
Susie's in all denim again.
It's like Aurora Borealis, Quincy Quarry.
Foreman won't let me play saxophone on the floor. I can't even get it.
Time card punched a hole in the wrong spot.
Meet me downtown, parentheses, Reagan stole my pension.
Unions making me vote Democrat.
Busting unions ain't no good. Thinking about motorcycles. I hate that I know all 5 of those fake songs off the top of my head from that tweet.
And I will say, so my third.
That tweet again. Thinking about.
So my Fire and Bone would be the third one that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Fire and Bone. That was released as a single, was it not?
It was the second one too.
Yeah, and I'm not
bizarre choice for a second single. However, the bass on it is phenomenal.
Yeah, good bass. I'll say that. And there's definitely some Brendanisms. I'm a fire and bone.
What is it about fire? And then you hear Brandon Way in the background about fire and bone.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my take when I first heard it. I'm not crazy about this. This is probably my least favorite song on the album, honestly.
That's probably what I'd say too.
I'm not crazy about it at all.
So you think Running Toward a Place, next track, is your third of your 3?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I'm playing it back into my headphones just to make sure I got it. Like, it's kind of it's not bad. It's certainly not bad. And really Fire and Bone isn't bad either, but it's just kind of, meh. It's
kind of like you with the Lindsey Buckingham thing. Upon listening to this song, and I did the same thing with, I believe, My Own Soul's Warning. I texted you about this at the time. I said, this sounds like a song by the band The War on Drugs. And then I check, and it was both produced and co-written by a member of the band The War on Drugs, hence why it sounds like that. This song...
like that, yeah, that's definitely War on Drugs.
Running Toward a Place is a War on Drugs song. It is not only is it literally, like, running toward a place, they have a song called Thinking of a Place, and the way they sing the words running towards a place and thinking of a place is exactly the same. The melody is the exact same on it, but also the bass line is the exact same on it. Not from the song Thinking of a Place, but the War on Drugs have a different song that the bass line, I believe it's called Strangest Thing, and the bass line is the exact same thing. And they literally just took like the puzzle pieces of War on Drugs songs and put them together in the song.
The synths are War on Drugs, you can kind of feel that. It's not bad. It's a very, not bass line in the sense that it has a good bass line, but it's very just kind of like level, like bass line kind of song. Like you call it the Running Towards a Place line. Like, do you like it more or less than you like Running Towards a Place, if that makes sense. I'm just not crazy about it. It's just kind of there, I feel, in the album. I don't know how else to explain. I'm probably doing a bad job doing it, and the listener or the viewer, as we so like to call them, probably not loving my explanation of it. It just it definitely does have the War on Drugs thing. Now that you bring it up, though, and maybe I'll run it back and I'll like it a little bit more. I'm just not totally nuts about it at this moment in time.
So 3 more. We've got My God, which
love this one. My God, what a great song, folks.
Haha, but send tweet. It is a certified bop for sure. It features the band Weyes Blood on it. I don't know if you've listened to Weyes Blood before. They had an album last year called Titanic Rising, I want to say. That was very good. Now, a little history of the band Weyes Blood for you, Fitzo. It's just one girl. It's like a Bleacher situation. Like, her name's Natalie Maring. She goes by Weyes Blood when she's on stage, and she is a former member of the band Jackie O Motherfucker.
Hell of a band name.
Their genres listed.
I know Jackie O Motherfucker. We used to implode some Mirages over on L Street.
So some genres for Jackie O Motherfucker. It just says drone. Yeah. I don't know what that is. That's what it says. Improvisational. That is a band whom improvises.
That's
space
comedy.
rock and psychedelic folk. So
they sound like they rule.
Yeah. Sounds like
it's an epic sounding song. Just like a big, again, like that's what the Killers do best. The big kind of epic, like maximalist kind of stuff. They don't do subtlety too well, but that's okay. You know what I mean? You don't need them to be subtle. They don't need to be, a quirky kind of subtle type of
This
band.
does feel like it could break out and as like a dance bit in a rom-com. Like if you took this song, and there's another song that we'll talk about in a little bit that fits this description as well, and you dubbed it over the scene in 500 Days of Summer when Joseph Gordon-Levitt starts dancing around the fountain in the pond, and the little bird, like the animated bird in the live action movie, comes and lands on his arm. Like I could picture people just breaking into this and singing "My God." "My God" is phenomenal. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
The echoes on it, again, the epicness of it. It sounds not to sound like I'm a 2009 internet poster, "Epic Bacon for the Win," Brower, all that kind of stuff. But it's a big kind of maximalist song, and I enjoy it very much.
I do think that I could see me drunkenly singing these songs in bars. Most of them.
And no one knows what the hell you're singing. You just, what the hell is that?
But I'm fucking loving it, though.
What is he doing with his shirt off on top of the bar?
That was a big, back when going to bars was a thing. And even the ones that are open now don't have pool tables open. But I used to just I'd almost use the pool stick as a prop, and I would just be like dancing around the table in between turns the whole time. Mainly because I would usually have the jukebox. Oh yeah, singing into it, everything.
That's how COVID started.
And then we've got "When the Dreams Run Dry," and I will have to tell you, this makes me think of a certain lyric. So, "When the Dreams Run Dry" on this Killers album, 2008, the Killers have a song called "A Dustland Fairy Tale," which ends with the lyric, where the dreams all hide. Did I butcher that?
That's where the dreams are. Yep. Oh, when the wind don't blow. Yep.
Where the dreams... No, they say did they say die, maybe? I forget. But that was the first thing I thought of when I saw that. Up,
just because now I'm second guessing myself.
Well, and I'm sure you knew this already because we did a whole episode on it, but this is only the second time in music history this has happened, Fitz. Do you know the first time that a band has referenced a previous one of their songs?
Where the dreams roll high.
Okay, you're probably looking at a different thing then. It appears that there is some controversy within the Killers community amongst what that lyric is. You're
telling me that there's a discrepancy in what a Killers lyric is on their 2008 album Day and Age?
Yes.
That's never once happened before.
There's a discrepancy in the Halsey community right now. Did you know this?
No, this is my Halsey voice.
I'm not even gonna finish my story. That was funnier.
Tell it.
It's about whether now Evan Peters was a good Quicksilver or not. And the answer, no, it isn't.
Welcome to my kitchen.
Him doing "Take on Me" was very funny in Days of Future Past as well. I don't have a Halsey bit ready, though. I'll work on my Halsey voice for next time.
You're a big Halsey guy.
Oh, yeah. So I will have to say, "Where the Dreams Run Dry" probably has...
This other one says, "Out where the dreams all hide," like hide and seek.
Out Metro where the dreams all hide.
That sounds more right. That's what I thought.
So this song probably has my favorite part of the album on it, and it is right at the end of it, where the outro, it's another one, it kind of starts slower. I would admit, if they didn't, when I was listening to it, I was like kind of disappointed because it's in a part of the album that I was like, normally there are like, your "Why Do I Keep Countings" are in this part of the album, and those are a lot of, I love that song. Your "Miss Atomic Bombs" are in this part of the album. It's like that's what I'm looking for here. Your "The Callings" are in this part of the album, and the outro saves it. "We'll just follow the moon to the stars, to the sun, to the ground, and around and around." And I love that part of it. Incredible end to the album. That's the final track there. There's nothing else there. You go out on top with the best lyrics on the albm. And then there's another song.
I was gonna say, I was like,
Yeah, so this would be, well, let me your thoughts on "When the Dreams Run Dry."
I think it's very solid. I think it's what penultimate is the word?
Great album closer, right?
Yeah. Do you not like the song "Imploding the Mirage"? I like "When the Dreams Run Dry." Like I like that outro too.
I like "Imploding the Mirage," but it feels like
it should not be the ending of the album.
Yes,
it should not agree with you.
I think that this is the lyrical apex of the album, is the outro to "When the Dreams Run Dry." I feel like it feels like the album ends when that song ends. And then also, I don't know if this is a mixing thing, but the song Imploding the Mirage, the 10th song of the album, the last one, it sounds like it kind of just like cuts in abruptly. And it feels like if you view it as an epilogue, maybe that makes this part easier. But I also, but the thing is, I'm such like sitting on the fence right now because I also don't know where I would put it in the rest of the album. Like it feels like
it should be like the 5th song or the 6th song. You know what I mean?
I also hate when the title track is smack in the middle of the album. I can't be pleased. I literally just can't be pleased with this right now. Yeah. Bonus track should have been a bonus.
It feels like the last song on Graceland by Paul Simon. Like that. That's the But all around the world, it's like it's good, but it just doesn't feel like an album closer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I Always Want to Die sometimes. That feels like the end of the album. Like that feels like that's it.
I think like especially the and again and again and again. Like that feels like it.
Yeah, Lost in the World on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasies. Like that feels like the end. Like that, like everything coming to a head, wrapping it up. This sounds like it could be slapped anywhere from like 4th to maybe 7th on the album out of 10. It's a good song. I do like it, and it's a nice Ronnie song. Brandon killing it per usual. I like the song. I just don't think it should be last. At least like sonically speaking, musically speaking, right? It just doesn't sound like it. Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, and I will have to say when I said earlier about there are some great Brandonisms. Oh my! You and I are going to be singing the song "Struck My Name from the Camouflage."
Yeah, it's a big time.
I wasn't lost in the collage. These are some very Bono level rhymes. He went to Rhyme Zone and he just typed in Mirage and he was like, all right, let's roll, just work in as many of these as we can here. I love it. This song I am bopping up and down when I listen to this song. This is another one like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in 500 Days of Summer could have broken into this song with a bunch of random folks on the street and animated birds with him.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it should be the end of the album.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, do you know how the Black Parade ends with famous last words, but then there's like 5 minutes of silence and then that song Blood plays?
Yeah.
Like it feels a bit like that. Or also like the next My Chemical Romance album, which ends, and then they have that song Vampire Money that they just stuck at the end of it as a fuck you to the Twilight series when they asked them to make a song for it.
I did not know that, actually. I did not know that story.
Yeah, so it's out of place, but it's a really good song. It's really such like this is more of a nitpick than anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being obtuse about it.
Yeah. So best/worst, mine would be My Own Soul's Warning is probably best. I'd say Fire and Bone worst.
I think I agree with you. Like tit for tat there.
Yep.
Not too much disagreement there. The only disagreement, you putting it as their second best album, is crazy.
And like I said, I mean, based on just going like. Those 10 songs, those are all better than Andy You're a Star, than Believe Me Natalie, and Everything Will Be All Right.
Believe Me Natalie's been catching some stray shots on Twitter. We're talking about that. Believe Me Natalie's an elite killer. I love that song.
It's been catching stray shots from who?
Sailor Turney. He mentioned that the first 5 songs on Hot Fuss are great, and then it's just, which is not true turn.
I think, well, as you know, I fall victim to the A side fallacy all the time. I think Hot Fuss is an example where like the A side is the A side. Like that first 5 is incredible, and then you have Change Your Mind towards the end is awesome. You have On Top, I think is very good.
On Top's fantastic, and Midnight Show is great too.
Midnight Show is also very good. But again, 3 songs that are not as good as that would not crack the top 10 on this album.
Disagree. Of all those songs, smash that. What is it? The 5, 6, 7 stretch there. I don't know. These smashes well back. I would say. I don't know. To each their own, I guess. But
the point is worth making though that this none of these songs, any of these songs would sound so fucking weird if they were on Hot Fuss. Like, imagine if they put Imploding the Mirage, like, right after all these things that I've done.
Yeah. You talk about a quick...
I'd literally be like, wait, what?
You talk about a real quick change of pace.
Yeah, it's not dark anymore. That's what I was saying about Bubblegum earlier. It's like you took if you took The Dark Knight and you had Lord and Miller write it instead, and then it's just Will Arnett as Batman. Like that. That's sort of what we have going here. Like it's the what's the train track movie with Will Wheaton? It's like the Stand By Me remix. Yeah. The Stand By Me remix to Hot Fuzz.
Another train.
But it's just Brandon airing out his marriage with his wife. Well, one thing I was thinking, like when they tour this, like if this gets they have a song that made the top 40 off of it. I think it's being received very well. I don't know how long their sets are going to be, but like I could see them playing this whole album every show while they're just on that tour while they're supporting it. Like
how long is the album?
42
about
minutes.
42 minutes and 4 seconds, mind you.
Yeah. They could do that and then do like 8 to 10 songs greatest hits set.
They'll play 5 from this. They'll play this, or
they'll play more than
My
last
Own Soul's Warm. They'll play Caution. They'll play Imploding the Mirage. They'll play Dying Breed, and then they'll play one of the Fielder's Choice. Maybe they'll do Blowback. Maybe they'll do My God. Maybe they'll do When the Dreams Run Dry. When the Dreams Run Dry. They'll play like 5 or 6.
I definitely would be disappointed if I went to a show on this tour and they like didn't really play it. Like Wonderful Wonderful, when we saw them on the Wonderful Wonderful tour, they opened with Wonderful Wonderful, the lead track. They played The Man, they played Run for Cover. I think they played Rut, and they played
they didn't play Tyson V. Douglas. Yeah, they played The Calling.
So they played 5. I think there were 10 or 11 songs. So they played 5. I guess that's a lot.
Some of those shows
they didn't play the ones I wanted. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
I saw them twice on that tour. They didn't play Tyson V. Douglas. It's clearly the best song on the album. So, they played Run for Cover too.
So good chance you don't get it going forward.
Yeah. So I'm never going to see it now, and I'll never see Sam's Town unless I go and see them in Vegas, which I will do at one point.
What are you giving this?
I was going to say Batman. Can you edit in a Batman transition here? Bat scale. I think we're up to 11 now, and now they're like all of them are being cast again because of all the shit DC's doing. I will say I'll give it a 10 out of 11. Are we at 11?
Yeah, we're at 11.
Okay.
I'll give it I would probably give it a high 70s, low 80s on a 10. So I'll give it a solid 8.3 out of 11. Mm-hmm. I think that translates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's in the 8s. 10, I don't know about that.
We're doing 0.3s now.
Yeah, I've always done the kind of not whole number scoring.
I take issue with that at a moral level.
I take issue with your issue.
You know what I meant to do? I was going to wear a mask this whole show. Literally no one noticed. I wore a mask the whole show and nobody even had a clue.
Literally no one noticed.
Except I can't put it around my...
That's the only time that's ever happened.
Fuck that up real good.
With the exception, of course, when the song I took a pill and a beezy. I fucked up the joke, whatever. That's the episode.
I barely landed it earlier, so yeah.